There are two kinds of speed in football. There's physical speed, which of course is important, but also mental speed. When you set up a goal, you feel like you've done something big, like you're an integral part of the game. Scoring is crucial in football. But playing the pass that leads to a goal is really fulfilling. For me, it's a truly unique feeling.
In May 2015, Xavi Hernandez finally called time on his career at FC Barcelona. After nearly a quarter of a century spent at the Catalan giants, Xavi said goodbye to the club with whom he had conquered the footballing world. It was an emotional farewell for a man that helped Barcelona become one of the greatest teams of all time. And for Xavi, it was the culmination of a long and distinguished career that began many years before in Terrassa, in Catalonia.
I've been running behind a ball for as long as I can remember. At home, we all lived and breathed the game. I started playing in Terrassa, in the Plaza del Progreso, in my free time. My father founded the youth team in Terrassa, so my brothers and I went to play there. Then, when I was 11 years old, Barcelona came to watch me, and soon after, I signed for them. I remember the first time I went to the Nou Camp. The whole family went. I fell in love with Bernd Schuster. He was different. He had this blonde hair, and he was the one who switched the play in midfield, hitting these 30 or 40-metre passes, which you didn't see much in football back then. I really liked the way he played. Then when I was 11 or 12, the club's coaches, Joan Villa and Albert Benages, told me to watch Pep Guardiola.
At that time, Guardiola was playing in the first team in Johan Cruyff's dream team. Everything I was telling Xavi about his positioning and his style of play was perfectly reflected in Guardiola. One day, I asked Guardiola to come and watch our training session so that he could see Xavi. Afterwards, when we'd finished, he came over to me and told me that he himself had better watch out. Because
Barca was a fantastic football academy. They made you understand the game, not just to play and compete, but to really understand football. It was a clearly defined system, a philosophy that's based on keeping the ball, taking the initiative, and playing attacking football. That was the famous Barca DNA, and everyone just soaked it up.
In 1998, aged just 18, Xavi broke into the Barcelona first team and scored on his debut in the Spanish Supercopa against Mallorca.
El xut terrible del Xavi Hernandez i el primer gol oficial de la temporada del Barça.
That season, he helped Barca win La Liga under Dutchman Louis van Gaal. Playing alongside internet stars such as Frank de Boer, Luis Figo, Rivaldo and Patrick Kluivert, Xavi proved a sensation, being named La Liga's Breakthrough Player of the Year.
He had this easy way of playing. He kept it simple, moved at almost walking pace, and as soon as he got the ball, he knew exactly what he was going to do with it.
At first, Xavi appeared to be physically weak, but in fact he never was. He was small, but he wasn't weak. As a smaller player, you have to be more intelligent, more streetwise, and show other qualities. His intelligence on the pitch has always been far more important than his physical attributes.
Van Gaal was the one who said, "This young kid, Xavi Hernandez, and I'm going to put him in the team immediately. And what's more, you're good enough, and therefore I don't care about your age."
It's always hard when you step into something new, but they gave me a great welcome in the dressing room, and I was surrounded by people who also came through the ranks. We won the league that year, and I've got great memories of Van Gaal.
He was a great kid, and we knew he would do well in life and go on to become a great player. He was very important to our success at Barcelona that season, and he became a top footballer, known the world over.
That summer, Xavi would make his mark on the world stage with Spain at the Under-20 World Cup in Nigeria. Alongside future stars such as Iker Casillas and Carlos Marchena, Xavi and co made history by becoming the first Spanish team to win an international FIFA tournament.
Xavi was a player who had great positional sense on pitch. He was a natural leader in any team. He had great mobility and rarely lost the ball. His teammates always trusted him because he was so comfortable in possession.
That was a real turning point, where we showed we had a good generation of players in Spain. We won a lot of games at that Under-20 World Cup, such as beating Japan in the final, and a Brazil team with Ronaldinho. Banged our fist on the table, and showed everyone that we had a generation good enough to win big things.
Back at the Nou Camp, Xavi soon cemented his place in the Barcelona starting 11. But problems off the pitch soon led to disharmony on it. The club had one of its worst La Liga seasons in living memory and failed to qualify for the Champions League. Very quickly, Xavi found himself the scapegoat for Barca's downturn in fortunes.
When you talk about the levels of criticism that Xavi had to sustain around the time when the club couldn't make up its mind about its playing philosophy, couldn't make up its mind about who was the adequate coach for them, what Xavi was a local guy not made good at that stage. People were intolerant.
We went through a spell of 4 or 5 years without winning anything, where people didn't believe in us and didn't believe in me especially. There was this tendency to keep changing our system of play. It was difficult, but we got through that bad spell.
Xavi did what he had to do. He had to believe in himself, work hard, and trust that he was a player that could succeed at Barcelona. And that's what he did.
In the summer of 2004, Frank Rijkaard took charge at the Nou Camp and returned Barcelona to winning ways. With Xavi at the heart of all their play, Barcelona won back-to-back league titles. In 2006, Barca won their second European Cup, and although Xavi would miss the final against Arsenal through injury, it was the start of a new golden era in the history of the club.
Xavi made being alongside him straightforward for everyone, not just me. He made the difficult things look simple, and that's not an easy thing to do in football. He knew exactly when to pass the ball and when the striker was available to receive it.
When Xavi was on the pitch, the match revolved around him. He knew how to manage the tempo of the game and knew what the team needed at every moment, whether to inject pace into the play or whether to keep control of the ball.
He was a very intelligent player, but also worked tirelessly in midfield. What stood out for me was that it didn't matter what ball was fired into him. He would always control it and then make a good pass. If it came from the right, he'd control it with his left foot and then make a pass with his right, and vice versa. He made it look so simple.
Euro 2008 was Xavi's fourth major international tournament. For so long, the great underachievers of the international game, few gave Spain any chance of success in Austria and Switzerland. But behind the scenes, Spanish coach Luis Aragonés had overseen a revolution in La Roja's style of play, with Xavi very much at its centre.
Luis Aragonés, this big Madrid-born man who said this possession football with little players passing around the pitch is rubbish. And then as soon as he trained Xavi and Iniesta and Silva, he went, I was wrong, let's start again, boys. The little men, come on in. Everything's based around you.
Luis Aragonés is perhaps the most influential person in the history of the Spanish national team. He was the pioneer. He was the one who saw that we had more talent at our disposal than physical strength or power.
Those Euros were spectacular. That was an important moment, not only for Xavi, but for the Spanish national team as well. To win a big tournament like that earned us great respect, and Xavi became known throughout the world for what he did at those championships. I remember the goal in the final. It was typical Xavi. He knew how to play those excellent passes. And Torres did what he knew best. He got in front of his marker at speed, which was so important for us.
That's where everything began. Aragonés believed in that system, in a new philosophy, and his qualities and his leadership made our success possible.
Barcelona's style of play would be transformed following the arrival of Pep Guardiola as coach in 2008. Building his team around the diminutive trio of Xavi, Andrés Iniesta and Lionel Messi, Barca would become the greatest exponents of the style of football known as tiki-taka.
Xavi underwent a big change after Euro 2008 when Pep became coach. That's when you noticed a more mature and responsible Xavi, on and off the pitch. He became captain and the leader of the team.
At that time, Bayern Munich tried to sign Xavi because they were looking for an experienced midfielder. But I think Xavi made a very intelligent decision not to join Bayern and stay at Barcelona instead. Pep knew what he wanted to do, where he wanted to go, and with whom. Pep has been the benchmark throughout my career. Firstly as a player, as someone who helped me perfect my game, and then as a coach. He gave me a vitally important role in the team. We speak the same football language. We grew up in the same place, and we understand the game in the same way. To my mind, he's one of the best coaches in the world.
That season, Barcelona won La Liga, the Copa del Rey, and reached the final of the Champions League against Manchester United in Rome.
You always dream of making it to the Champions League final. We were lucky, and that it was the second time we'd made it to the final. But we still knew we faced a difficult opponent. The first 10 minutes were very tough. They really came at us, but we soon got control of the match.
Deep in that final, when Barcelona are holding on 1-0, Xavi looks up and sees far away in the left-hand side of the pitch the smallest guy on the pitch, Leo Messi. The ball is absolutely exquisite across the Manchester United defence. Because of the way the ball's arrived, Messi's header loops over Van der Sar, and it puts cherry on the icing of a brilliant win.
When you reach a final and you're injured and forced to miss it, you never know if you'll get another chance. But luckily Xavi did. He deserved to win that Champions League. And we were all really happy for him.
The 2010 World Cup was a watershed moment for Spain and Xavi Hernandez. Twice before, in 2002 and 2006, Xavi had been part of a Spain team that had disappointed on the world's biggest stage. Now under Vicente del Bosque, South Africa 2010 offered La Roja their greatest chance at redemption.
We didn't start the World Cup well. We lost to Switzerland, which made us hesitate somewhat. But we stuck to our guns and our philosophy, even if we didn't really start playing to our full potential until the Portugal game in the last 16. From then on, Spain really started to perform well.
Playing in the centre of midfield, he had a great influence on how the team played as a whole. So he's been a pivotal figure for us, vital. Xabi Alonso, Sergio Busquets, Iniesta, David Silva, Fabregas, they've all been important, but Xavi has always been the central axis of the team.
Players like Xavi really make a difference. They have a clear mind. And they always make the right decisions at the right time.
We had to really fight against Paraguay in the quarter-final, and then we had a great game against Germany in the semis.
The day before the semi-final, when we were analysing Germany, we said to the coach that we should try this corner that we'd worked on. He said go for it. So then in the second half, Xavi crossed it perfectly, and it turned out exactly as we'd hoped.
The 2010 World Cup final saw Spain take on the Netherlands in Johannesburg. A hard-fought and ill-tempered match. Andres in the goal of the game deep into extra time. Were world champions.
We won that World Cup mainly because we excelled in not conceding goals rather than in scoring them. And for me, this had a lot to do with Xavi and the way he orchestrated the game from the centre of midfield.
In South Africa, we felt like we could beat anyone. And we had a real confidence out there on the pitch. Despite not having the best of starts, it was a great World Cup.
Having turned 30, Xavi was now one of the most decorated footballers in Spanish history. A World Cup and European Championship winner. 5 times he had won La Liga and twice the UEFA Champions League. Another league title followed in 2011, and that same season saw Barcelona reach another Champions League final. On the way, defeating arch-rivals Real Madrid in a semi-final memorable for a masterclass in and possession from Xavi Hernandez.
Playing against Madrid was always special for a lifelong culé, someone who's Barcelona through and through. Madrid are the eternal rivals. And they are always special games, with an extra edge to them. I'm happy and proud to have beaten them in many crucial and important matches, especially that one, semi-finals.
We then had another great chance to win the Champions League. We played really well. It was one of our best ever performances. And Xavi was vital to our success. He controlled the game. We always wanted to keep possession. Who decides that on the pitch? Then it's Xavi.
Xavi's movement and pass at Wembley, this mythical stadium where Barcelona won their first European Cup, broke that game, gave Pedro a goal on a plate, and it was just a little indication of his footballing genius.
That final against Manchester United at Wembley, I remember being told that in the 60th or 70th minute, Rooney went up to Xavi and said, "Please don't humiliate us anymore. You've already won. Take it easy." It was classic Barcelona, and the architect was definitely Xavi.
He was a perfectionist on the pitch, and he was always like that. That match was like a summary of his career, as always, and didn't get involved in any issues. He transmitted his passion to his teammates and was comfortable both technically and tactically. That's what made his performance so beautiful.
More success would follow. Spain went into Euro 2012 looking to claim their third consecutive major international trophy before. La Roja swept all before them in Poland and Ukraine, thrashing Italy 4-0 in the final in Kiev. Once again, Xavi's stage, having a hand in all 4 Spanish goals and providing yet another sublime pass for Spain's second.
That pass and sees Jordi Alba's run, the timing is perfect. And what footballers will always tell you, the weighting is perfect. It's just weighted so that it goes exactly where it needs to be. That Alba doesn't need to break his stride. He runs with it, scores brilliantly. It was poetry, and I guess it was typical Xavi.
He was someone who clearly understood how the game should be played. He understood the dressing room and the team's philosophy. He brought the same ideas he had at Barcelona to the national team. And it shows in the way both teams play in a very similar fashion.
In 2013, Xavi picked up his 7th league title, and 2 years later announced that he would be leaving the club at the end of the season. In his final year, he helped Barca to La Liga, the Copa del Rey, and the UEFA Champions League. It was a remarkable treble by one of the greatest teams ever to play the game.
People forget, but it took a long time for that amazing generation of players to come together. Players like Puyol, Iniesta, Messi, Busquets, Pedro, all at a slightly different age, but playing together and winning so many things. We achieved so much, and we proved we were one of the most successful teams of the last decade.
To see this guy who spent the first 6 or 7 years at Barcelona winning 2 trophies, finishing with nearly 25 trophies. Although the club saw him off brilliantly, the fans applauded him out of the country, the best thing was to see his work come to fruition with a second treble.
Every player dreams of having a send-off where you feel appreciated and cherished for all you did. Xavi's farewell had this, supported by all the people that had been there with him since the early days, during the good times and the bad, and having won the treble, it was a remarkable and unique send-off from Barcelona.
After 869 appearances, Xavi's farewell was a fitting tribute to a man who, more than anyone else, made Barcelona what it is today.
It's not goodbye, it's see you later. Long live Barca and Catalunya.
Xavi Hernandez, Barcelona legend and one of the greatest players in the history of Spanish football. Synonymous with a style of playing the game that is admired throughout the world, full of artistry, skill and vision. Xavi Hernandez, the total footballer who defined an era.
He's the greatest Spain player ever, for his ability, for his vision, for his leadership, for the thrills, for his ability to do special things in big games.
Xavi has proven that talent doesn't have to be all about the individual. It's about using your talent for the benefit of the team. And if there's a player who contributes selflessly to the team, then that's Xavi.
We are all different, but without doubt Xavi was one of a kind. Fans and even us players, when we come across someone like Xavi, we just have to admire the magnitude of such a man.
I'd put him up there as one of the best in the world and the key component to the success of both Barcelona and the Spanish national team.
People like to link my name with a certain style of football. In Spain, they call it tiki-taka. It's the Barca DNA. I feel proud of what I've learned and of everything I've achieved. But most of all, I'm proud that this philosophy, which I believe in so much, and which has taught me so much, has reaped rewards. That's something that makes me really happy.